us, Johnston Seed Company. I'm Gerald Wines. Today we have Scott Brady. He's our Sod Farm Manager. We're going to talk a little bit about our sod RTF Fescue. Scott's been with Johnston Seed for 2 years. He's been in the golf industry for 28 years. And basically today we just kind of wanted to go over some things. We get calls, Scott gets calls, try to go over a few of those and maybe help you decide whether you want to do sod or do seed. So welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
With Fescue sod, do you have a time frame when a homeowner should start putting it down since it's Fescue? And we are not going to talk about Bermuda today, just strictly Fescue.
I encourage them to do it in the spring and fall. March 15th, you want your ground temperature 55, 60 degrees, your soil temperature, and anything after that's good. And then, once it gets hot, it gets a little harder to maintain. And then fall is a good time, September 1, middle of September, to put it down in the fall. It just seems like it takes root better and grows a little bit better.
Sure. Is there a time in the fall when you'd say we're done?
This part of the country, it's hard to say really, but probably mid-October, probably.
Okay.
1st of October. You'd want to kind of get it established and get it rooted in before we get hard freezes. I mean, it will stay growing throughout the winter, stay green if you fertilize it properly and want it to grow. Some people just want it to kind of let it sit there and do what it's doing through the winter and then pick up in the spring.
Okay.
So,
to a homeowner, do you have any tips on ground preparation for sod?
I would recommend them to get all their weeds out. If they're going to go in there and spray Roundup 2,4-D, get that taken care of. Wait 10 days, 14 days before you go in there and lay your sod down. But I definitely want to get get it all weed free and get your dirt where you need it to be. Because when you pick up the sod, it's going to be smooth, and once you lay it down, it'll be what it is.
Right.
It'll be smooth, and if it's rough
Right.
dirt, it's going to be rough for you.
Sure.
So I just
like
get
clods.
Clods,
Yeah.
and just get it smooth as possible, and then lay that sod on there, and it'll be real smooth when you run mowers across it.
Is there a certain water requirement should you try to flood it the first week, or what's your thoughts there?
I recommend them to really get it wet the first week or two, and then some people have irrigation. They'll think 20 minutes a zone's plenty, but that don't hardly get down to the dirt part of it. But I highly recommend to get it watered in really good for the first week to 2 weeks. Of course, depends on the weather, but that's it takes a lot of water. Some people will tell you fescue will take 1 to 3 inches a week to make it really thick and growing good. I don't know that the 3 inches is it's a little high probably, but I think if you do a 1 inch per week, it'd be plenty.
It depends what it's trying to grow into here in Oklahoma, especially in Oklahoma with wind. Another question we get is, we encourage people to soil test for sure, but do you recommend they put down a in fertilization prior to sod laying, or do everything post after the sod is laid?
I don't have a preference. I mean, I guess I would say is get your sod down first.
Okay.
And then, because when you're laying that, you're just going to kind of move it around. If you do put it down before you lay your sod, you're going to move it with your knees if you're bending over, or feet or whatever. I recommend people to put it down and wait a week or so, and then go in there and put your fertilizer down and just keep it watered.
Would that be like a lower nitrogen type fertilizer at first, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like 20 something?
Yeah, I use a lot of 21-714 product. I think it's very good. It's got micros in it. Some people do a 13-13-13 or a 20-20-20, but I like the 21-714.
Okay. Also, too, once sod is laid, when would you feel comfortable? So I lay sod in the fall. can I look at, if I need to, doing any kind of weed control activity in it, whether it be for winter annuals or anything like that in the spring, or when can I actually make a herbicide application on fescue sod? Whether it be spring late or fall late?
I would be spring. I would do the spring application. If you get your ground prepped and get weed free when you lay your sod, that your fescue is thick enough and it's going to kind of choke out your weed problem. But I would go in there in the spring and put your pre-emergent down and your 2,4-D products for your broadleaves.
So if I want to purchase sod, what is the process in that? Do they call you out at the sod farm and schedule, or?
We'd like for you to call a day ahead when you want it. If you want it on a Friday, call us at least on Thursday. We put it on a schedule, and then we just cut it fresh every day. We don't like it sitting there. We do have people come out there and think we just have it sitting there at the farm.
Right.
We don't do that just because we don't want to let it sit there and dry up. We want to cut fresh daily. And so, yes, we'd like for you to call a day, or if you know on Monday that you want to do it on Friday, that's your only day off, we put you on the board on Friday morning. And then usually most of the sod that we cut is usually, you can pick it up by 10 o'clock in the morning. Maybe earlier. But yeah, we like a little day notice.
Do you have a minimum a minimum order they can do?
We sell it with, of course, the pallet. Pallet's 500 square feet. We do a lot of half pallets, is 250 square feet. We do a few smaller orders than that. We like to do the half pallets, just because it's time consuming. But if some people order it and they didn't get enough, we try to help them out. And if it's 100 square feet, and we have done that. We will continue to do that if people need 100 square feet or 50 square feet, and we work with people the best we can.
What are the size of those slabs?
They are 2 foot wide by 4 foot long.
Okay, I've had that question before. That's what I was wondering.
And when people pick them up, we can either roll them up if they're just getting a few slabs, or when they get the pallet, when they get it home, they roll it up and grab each end of it, and then they can carry it out to where they need it to lay it. So
where I'm going to head with this, Scott, is getting it home, and we get calls on this. Can you kind of explain the weight of these pallets?
The fescue on a pallet, 500 square feet, they're going to weigh about 3,000 to 3,200 pounds. It depends on the moisture in them. When they have a lot of moisture in them, after a rain and wait a couple days, they'll get fairly heavy on the fescue. When we do the big rolls, and the big rolls are kind of confusing to some people, those are a machine operated roll. Those will weigh about 1,600 pounds. On those if you buy the big rolls. The big rolls are 42 inches wide by 80 feet long. They're 280 square feet. Yes, they get heavy, but that's kind of the weight on most of them.
And I think that's why I wanted to kind of go over that, because we hear I have a half-ton pickup. Well, that's fine, but we've 3,200 to 4,000 pounds on one of those is a pretty good load, especially in those shorter beds and stuff like that. So, well, Scott, thank you for coming in today and visit with us. And if you're interested in sod, the RTF fescue sod, please give them a shout at 580-297-6957. Thank you.